Hi everyone, Mrs. Leaf here. Today we're going to talk about half notes, half rest, and how they relate to our quarter notes and quarter rest that we learned about in our previous lessons. So let's just review some of the things that we went over in the last couple weeks. So in the last couple weeks, we talked about time signatures, and our time signature tells us if we're in 4/4 time that we can have 4 beats per measure and that the quarter note gets the beat. We learned a little bit about quarter notes, which quarter notes get 1 beat of sound. So if I sizzled a quarter note, it would sound like this. If I sizzled 2 quarter notes, they would sound like this. Okay. And we also learned about quarter rest, which get 1 beat of silence. So during that rest, we can just say rest, or we can tap our foot. Let's talk a little bit about something new. Let's talk about those half notes. So if we look at a half note, we're going to notice that it's pretty similar to a quarter note in the way it looks. But the difference is my half note is not filled in. A quarter note will always be filled in black. A half note is always white in the center. With a half note, it gets 2 beats of sound. So another way to think about that would be like adding 2 quarter notes together. Now, this is different than having separate quarter notes. So if I had 2 separate quarter notes, it would sound like this. Our half note, though, is a sustained sound. It means it keeps on going for 2 beats. So if I had these 2 quarter notes added together, that would equal a half note, and it would sound like this. See if you can tap your foot with me and sizzle for 2 beats. 1, 2, ready, go. So that's sizzling a half note. Let's see if we can sizzle 2 half notes in a row. 1, 2, ready, go. So that was 2 half notes. Let's take a look at how quarter notes and half notes can be put in a measure together. So I've drawn this example. We're in 4/4 time, which means that we can only have 4 beats per measure. So we can do some addition here. We have our half note, which gets 2 beats, plus a quarter note, which gets 1 beat. So we're at 3 beats, plus another quarter note, which is 4 beats. So we're good for this measure. If we look at our second measure, we have a half note, which is 2 beats, plus another half note, which is 2 beats. Add those together, boom, we've got 4 beats there for our half notes. So each of those measures will be 4 beats like our time signature says, so we're good to go there. When we sizzle this, remember, our half note will get 2 beats of sizzle, and we want to keep our foot tapping the beat. Our foot will keep a quarter note pulse. So let's just practice tapping our foot and keeping a steady quarter note pulse together. 1, 2, tap your foot. Tap, 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 tap. Were you able to keep a steady pulse with your foot? That steady pulse that you keep with your foot will help you with your half notes and your quarter notes, keeping them steady too. Okay, so let's see if we can just sizzle our first measure. 1, 2, sizzle, go. So did you hear that first sizzle was 2 beats long to go along with that half note? Let's do it one more time together. 1, 2, ready, go. Now let's take a look at measure 2. We have 2 half notes there, so those will each get 2 beats each. Here we go, measure 2. 1, 2, ready, sizzle. Okay, let's try it one more time. 1, 2, measure 2, go. So we went and we sizzled that. Let's see if we can sizzle the first and the second measure together. 1, 2, ready, go. So now we know a little bit more about half notes. Let's talk about half rest. So a half rest looks a lot different than a quarter rest. Our quarter rest kind of looks like a squiggle. Our half rest looks kind of like a hat. And I can show you how it looks like a hat. I can draw a little man there. Okay. Our half rest looks like a hat. It's a man wearing a hat, and that half rest will last for 2 beats. It's going to be 2 beats in a row of silence. Another way you could think of a half rest is like having a quarter rest plus a quarter rest. Okay, that's just another way to think about it. A lot of times, though, you will see a half rest written like this instead of 2 quarter rest on their own. Okay, let's make an example with some half notes and half rest. So we'll stay in 4/4 time. So if I'm in 4/4 time, think about how many beats will you have per measure. If you said 4, you are correct, because 4/4 time, we can only have 4 beats per measure. So for my example, I have 2 full measures right here. And let's just double check it. We'll make sure that there's 4 beats per measure. I have my first half rest, which gets 2 beats, plus my half note, which gets 2 beats. And I add those together, that's going to be 4 beats. And in my second measure, I have a half note, that's 2 beats. And I have a half rest, that's 2 beats. Add those together, and we have 4 beats. So that fits with our time signature just fine. During the rest, because it's a 2-beat rest, you can either tap your foot twice to keep the beat, or you can say rest, rest during the rest, since it's 2 beats of silence. Remember, for those half notes, we're going to sizzle those for 2 beats. So I'm going to give you an example of what it should sound like if I sizzle it. 1, 2, ready, sizzle. Rest, rest. Tss, tss, rest, rest. See if you can sizzle it with me. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest. Tss, tss, rest, rest. Below, I have another example, which in this example, I want you to see if it sounds the same or different from the top. So my bottom example sounds like this. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest. Tss, tss, rest, rest. Here's my top rhythm. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest. Tss, tss, rest, rest. So you've probably discovered that these two sound exactly the same. So this really is a different way to write a half rest. I could have 2 quarter rest instead of having a half rest, because those things sound exactly the same in music. Here's an example of everything that we've gone through so far today. So we have our time signature, 4/4. We have quarter notes, quarter rest, half notes, and half rest. Let's start by looking at these measures and making sure that the counting fits in. So if I look at my very first measure, I have a quarter note plus a quarter rest plus a half note. So my first measure is good to go. If I look at my second measure, I have a quarter note plus a quarter note plus a 2-beat half rest. That's 4 beats. That measure is also good to go. If I look down here at measure 3, I have a not a quarter note. I have 2 half notes because those aren't filled in. I have a half note, which is 2 beats, plus another half note. That's another 2 beats. So total of 4 beats. That works. And my final measure, I have a quarter note plus a quarter note plus a half note. Add those together. Boom, we got 4 beats there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sizzle this kind of slowly. I want you to see if you can tap your foot in rhythm while I'm tapping my foot. Don't worry about sizzling this first time. 1, 2, ready, tap. Tss, rest. Tss, 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 rest, rest. Tss, 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 tss. All right, see if you're able to sizzle it with me. We'll go slow. 1, 2, here we go. Tss, rest. Tss, 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 rest, rest. Tss, 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 tss. I hope this helps you with your half notes and your half rest. Bye-bye.